Well, welcome back to the Pastor's Podcast. Pastor Scott here with Pastor Danny. Wow. Here's the thing, Danny. You know what? I'm just going to keep it. We're just going to roll.
Yeah,
I'm
Danny.
Danny Neiditch. Danny Neiditch?
Yeah.
Danny Neiditch.
Yeah.
Pastor Danny from Shalom Bible Church, one of our sister churches, and longtime friend, longtime member of Cornerstone. You came to Cornerstone like
2011.
Okay, yeah, 14 years ago now.
That was right after you guys merged.
Yeah. So for, Matt, it's good to see you.
Likewise.
Good to be together. Thankful for the work the Lord's doing. I mean, first of all, maybe just catching up. How are things going at Shalom?
Shalom's good. For those who don't maybe know about Shalom, it's a church plant that came off of Cornerstone, West LA. We're in South LA. We've been over there about 3.5 years. It's good. We're really in a season right now of like missional engagement. We're going through a book called On the Block by Doug Logan. It's just a time right now of us trying to really be engaged with the community over there, and just what it means to like just be out there.
Awesome.
Sharing Christ and His love, and so it's been good. We're still meeting in Pastor Demetrius's backyard, and but it's been a blessing.
Looking and praying for a building. Yes,
we're still fine with the police helicopter every Sunday flying over though too. So yeah.
So we can be praying for how are Demetrius and Dustin doing?
They're good. Pastor Dustin, Archie. That's their third child. I think his birthday's in January, February. He'll be one.
Oh my gosh!
But that's his third child. They have Rose, who's 5, and Scotty, who I believe is 2.5 or going on 3. And then Demetrius's son Eleazar just turned 1 a couple weeks ago. And so they're good. Both of them are just raising families and pastoring churches.
Yeah, so living the life.
Church, I should say. They're not doing other churches.
They're not pastoring churches. Pastoring church. Well, man, I was so thankful for that. We'll have to do another separate podcast on getting an update on all the Lord's doing there. But it's been super exciting. I'm looking forward to being out there preaching with you guys in just a few weeks, right? Like maybe
mid-November, I believe.
Yeah. Dude, it's basically November.
I know, it's crazy.
I was like, oh yeah, like mid-November, like in a month or so. No, just in a couple of weeks. All right. Looking forward to it. So I know you just returned from sabbatical. You were on sabbatical for a couple months this summer. Your first sabbatical in the 10 years of serving with Prodigal, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to ask you like, how was your sabbatical? Like I'd love to hear just a little bit about what the Lord taught you during that time. I mean, I know those times are oftentimes filled with surprises, not what you thought it was going to be or what you thought the Lord was going to do. But how'd you see Him working in that time?
Yeah, so I had about 2 months of sabbatical time off, and I had July and August. July was from Prodigal and also at Shalom, and then August was just Prodigal at that point. I came back to Shalom at that time. So sabbatical was, 1 month was really hard. The other month was refreshing spiritually. I had my uncle passed away at the end of May, and so the month of July when I started my sabbatical, like pretty much was all focused on prepping for his funeral. I had to do his slideshow for the funeral, and so it was a really hard, like just sad and a lot of tears, a lot of crying. I don't think there was any sense of like, I'm on sabbatical. Like, how do I, rest and so that was pretty much out of the question. And so, the first month was hard. We've, myself and my family have dealt with a lot of loss the past few years. And so it was just like another one, and a lot of stuff coming back to the surface of other people that we loved that passed away. But August hit, And it kind of started becoming more of a like a settled, okay, let me see if I can get some rhythms going. And I would say, honestly, just, it wasn't like this huge, like, what does God want to show me, like bigger picture kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It was just the small spiritual disciplines of like just being more focused in his word and in prayer. I always try to set up like ways to like do that, but it just kind of comes and goes. And I think having that focused time, I think we kind of just go and go and go and go. Mm-hmm. And like those disciplines and that refreshment we need from the Lord, we put it on the shelf and we say, I can get to it at some other point. And I think the fact that it became more of a priority, I don't know, it was, and I've been reading through the Old Testament and it's just, God just has, I don't know, just taught me a lot in reading in the Old Testament. Seeing him use broken people throughout Genesis and Exodus, and seeing, like thinking about, and these are just truths I've been kind of like looking at, but just seeing how, in the midst of a lot of difficulties in the Old Testament, Joseph, Israel, like I kept thinking like, oh, like we read these passages and we think about God is working and he's going to get Joseph out of the situation. So you read like, oh, he's sold into slavery. And then a page later you read like, oh, but Pharaoh exalted him. Israel's in Egypt. All these things are happening. Page later, like, oh, Moses brings him out. And I don't think we put ourselves in the position of like Joseph and Israel probably like, what's going on? Like, there's these plagues happening. I'm in slavery. Like I'm in jail still, like all this stuff. And it's like hardship is still happening daily for them. And they don't flip a page in scripture and see what's going to happen next. They're living it. And I think just understanding that, because obviously there's a lot of hardship. Like I said, I've gone through, my family's gone through in the past few years. And it was a good reminder of just at some point, God's turning pages and we just don't know when that part of the redeeming part of the story is going to happen, in those situations. But stuff like that, it's just, I don't know, just God teaching me stuff like that and the spiritual discipline aspects, and prodigal wise, I think just kind of like, even with Shalom, just like, what does it mean to yield and submit ministry to the Lord? Again, I think we just operate on like going, doing. We have to meet with these people. We have to go do this food box drop off. We have to go to do this church event, and we just go and go. And I think there's sometimes a blurred line on our plans versus God's plans. And I think just learning to like try to yield and submit and consistently pray that prayer of God, like, what do you have for these? I would say, lengthy answer to the question, but that's some of the stuff that really stood out to me.
No, I hear like a lot of focus on the unknown future, right? And the beauty of that, the power of that, the fact that we can't know. We can't know when we have our plans, and we also can't know when we're in the midst of the suffering. I think it's so profound to imagine ourselves in the place of the Israelites in slavery, or Joseph in jail. When we read that story, and even when you think about Joseph in jail, you're like, oh man, he's about to get out.
Yeah,
exactly, like but he didn't know that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He didn't know. He didn't have that vantage point, and putting ourselves in that, all of a sudden, it's a much more familiar experience, and one that what it shows about God in the long run.
Yeah.
That's super profound.
Yeah. I think again, just with the past few years, it's just been such a like, we go and we go and we go. And then there's always these hardships that happen, these speed bumps, these roadblocks, whatever it is that you want to describe it as, but like they happen in our life and it basically just throws everything out the window. Like, there's been many months because of all that's gone on where I battled and I struggled. And I was like, whether it was like kind of depression or whatnot, is just like, I don't know how to operate as the pastor, as the prodigal person. And you don't know the timetable on when you're struggling through that. And it's just, I think, again, with those experiences, like our normal rhythm kind of just goes out the window a little bit. And I think kind of seeing like, again, with like Joseph or Israel or like even Abraham having to like sacrifice his son, like they don't know the very end outcome of like their situations kind of deal, you know? So
man, and the Lord's so kind to use this season to show you that, to draw you back to that, to, I'd be like, man, you're out of your rhythms, but to invite you back into those things, into his perspective, to, in a sense, even like pull back the curtain a little bit. And, it makes me think one of the things that when we struggle with the unknown future, one of the things we see in scripture over and over again is God says, well, just before, as you're struggling, like look at the past, right? It makes me think of Philippians 4, talks about, not only does he say, don't be anxious, but he says, but in everything with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. Like look back at what he's done. And I want to talk about what the Lord's doing in Prodigal, and I want to like look forward into kind of what he's doing now. But maybe before we get there, I'd love for those that are less familiar to look back just quickly, because this summer, just before your sabbatical, we also celebrated the 10-year anniversary of Prodigal Sons, right? Like, so it's been a full decade that you've been doing this ministry. Well, it's been longer that you've been doing it, but since the organization, excuse me, since the organization started, it's contagious. But when you look back over the last 10 years and the work the Lord's done, as you had the opportunity to do that last summer, I'm curious what stood out to you
in reflecting over
over the last 10 years. Yeah. I know it's a huge question, but I mean, just like maybe a couple of examples of the things that stood out to you over the last 10 years.
I say there's probably multiple things like you said, but two that really stand out is first and foremost, I think when the church is operating in ways that it should, in terms of like, there's like the internal building up of a church, like for the members, but when there's this focus that's outward, and you're ministering to your neighbors, whatever the context is, marginalized neighbors, whatever, they see that and they're moved by that, those outside the walls of the church. And I've been able to see that a lot over the past 10 years with a lot of these guys that I've built relationships with and minister to. And I remember one individual, we had a car wash, and he said, I was sitting by myself on those back tables in the green space, and he came up to me and we were just talking, and he said like, man, he's like, I don't think you guys realize your church, what you guys do and what you guys mean. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, and he's talking to like the person who passed away, their sister, I think was there. And he's like, he's like, this woman just lost her brother or whoever it was, in relationship to her. Like, he's like, she just lost somebody she loved. And yet you guys are here to like open up your church to let us like help her raise funds for funerals and help bury him. And I was like, oh yeah. I mean, I don't think about that, but he was saying, he's like, yeah, you guys do so much, you guys give us food, you guys give us baby items. He told me, he's like, I looked up some of the baby items you gave me, and I was like, he's like, that's expensive stuff, And I was like, well, thankfully it was donated to me, but yeah, it's just like, I think they see it. And that's one of like, I don't know how many conversations I've had similar to that, where they're just so grateful that a church would care and open up their doors and allow people who probably in their own eyes would say like, oh yeah, society probably doesn't really care about us. And yet the church is doing its job and just saying like, let's just do one little step to love on you guys at this point in time. Yeah. So that's one thing that stands out. But I also just think like there's obviously a huge cultural gap sometimes between like church and the streets basically. And I think seeing the willingness of church members wanting to step in and just serve and love people and seeing relationships get built amongst these two, and like just seeing even the comfortability that like guys from the neighborhoods have with some of the church folks, and just seeing God like sort of break down those barriers and develop those relationships. Those are probably two things that stand out the most when I think about. Obviously, God's done a lot. Like I'm not gonna,
for sure,
that's all His doing. But I think those definitely stand out quite a bit, just because. Yeah,
man, I love hearing you talk about this. We had a big celebration, kind of a 10-year celebration back in the late spring, and the thing that I walked away from that time just impressed on my heart is that whenever you talk about this, all that comes to your mind are stories. When you look back on the last 10 years, it's not, oh yeah, we did these programs, and it's not even like stats. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, there are stats, like, right? Those exist. And you could, but the impact, I know for you, isn't measured in statistics. It's not measured in numbers. It's not measured in programs. It's not measured in like organizational development or success or, goals. Like it's measured in these stories, right? It's measured in the lives of people, the lives of the people that we've helped. The stories are the things that come to your mind, the lives of the people who've engaged, who otherwise wouldn't have had the opportunity, or maybe like they had the heart, but they didn't know how. Maybe they were burdened, but didn't know how to help. And the connection that Prodigal Sons provided between people in the church that maybe had no connection to gang culture, but that opened a door for them to walk through, for them to be involved and to be a blessing and to serve for the good of our city. And I'm just so thankful for that. It's what stands out to me as I look back over the last 10 years too. And it strikes me, man, it's part of, I think, why you are so faithful, so uniquely called to this. The people are so on front of mind for you. And I think that's why so many of us love what you're doing so much, because it's very clear there's no distraction. It's not about building an organization, right? It's not about the stats, but it's about these people. I'm so thankful for that. So as you then look forward, kind of from this time, as you look back over 10 years, as you've kind of had this time to reflect on sabbatical, I had last time I was on sabbatical, I had somebody tell me that to think about sabbatical like a season of fallow, where you like leave a field fallow and you don't plant in order to let it rest and to get the nourishment and things like that. But you don't return from the fallow season to a harvest. Right. I mean, sometimes we're like, okay, I'm done. Time to harvest. But it's like, no, that's not how it works. Like you return from a season of fallow to planting seeds. Right? Yeah. Like that seed planting comes after fallowing, not harvesting. Yeah. So I'm curious, as you've returned, what are the seeds you're planting now? What are the things you're excited about? Like what do you see for Prodigal going forward?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes back to what you just said about very relationship focused. Like you said, like we have the programs. We have like the food box programs. We have the benevolence offerings, or not offerings, the funds for helping people, and the baby items, all that stuff. Like the initiative we got to help homeboys out. Like, but it goes back to the relationships, and I think like since I got back, I've been kind of more just on like food box and baby item deliveries, and trying to, if I can, get people from the church to help out with those. But a lot of it's just that, and just trying to build more connections. And that's how a lot of these relationships happen, where you meet one person and they introduce you to somebody else. And so I've met like probably since I got back, like 3 or 4 new relationships and stuff like that. I think also with Shalom Bible Church and then Cornerstone South Bay, there's been a lot of stuff that has been going on in our communities, violence-wise, and just like talking with the pastors at South Bay, obviously being there at Shalom, just like trying to find ways to help our churches step in and have more, build the relationships that I know like Cornerstone West LA has here with the community here, like wanting to see that. So a lot of it's just been relationship and trying to build more and more of it. Like I didn't come back like, okay, let's just jump into something really big here. It's just like, I'm just gonna go back to the rhythms and really focus on relationships and being engaged with people. And I think also though, like really, I think sometimes with Prodigal, I'm done. Like we just kind of get in a rhythm of like, okay, yeah, like, we're a church, we care about you, food box, baby items, whatever it is, like connecting with the individuals. But like, I think sometimes like not that the spiritual aspects sometimes go by the wayside, but every once in a while, like, you're not really focusing on it. You're just like, we got to do this. But then like, I think there's just been a renewed focus of like, how can we just spiritually, like, put this on people's radars, praying for people. Like we've dropped off stuff and like, there's been more emphasis on just spending time if people need prayer. And people are always, I kind of always forget, people don't like, they're not really going to turn down prayer often. So,
people don't say no to prayer.
Yeah. And so things like that, I think I've had people like, oh, like, where's your churches at? Like, can you give me, like, they just want to go, they're interested in coming to church. And it's like, hey, we'll let you guys know about it. And you can come. If you come, like, awesome. God will do it in his timing. But like, I think just kind of more this renewed focus on building relationships, and also just like you're talking about like the field, right? And like like the planting the seeds. And I think just kind of more of a focus on like every encounter, just praying for it and just saying like, all right, God, like, what are you going to have for this one today? And whoever we interact with, like, and just allow an opportunity just to care for somebody. So yeah, it's not anything like really grand or like
I don't know, man. That's pretty like building those relationships, sowing seed. Like that's, I mean, the Lord does a lot. Through those things. I
think there's just a context of like just continuing that, and then also like really trying to like with Shalom and South Bay, and even if we can connect to other churches, we're still focusing on that. We do know pastors other places, but like I think just trying to like develop that rhythm over those churches like that we have with Cornerstone. So
I know you mentioned previously like your desire to expand into relationships in new neighborhoods. Is that generally like, are those West LA neighborhoods? Are those South Bay and South LA neighborhoods? Like where are you focusing your time and energy, or does that kind of just follow relationships?
It's a little bit of both. I think there's like a focus on like knowing where the churches are located and like being Shalom and South Bay and saying, okay, like this is who is over in these areas. Like how can we, potentially build a connection if something happens over here? Or like I know with Shalom, like we do a lot of stuff at the park that's a block away from Demetrius's house. And we've met people there from the local gangs, but and we serve them food, like we do barbecues, and so we meet people that way. Just more stuff like that. I think though it's tricky because where we're at Shalom, at least, if we walk like 2 or 3 blocks south, you're in a rival territory. If you go cross like the next main street, it's another rival territory. So it's pretty kind of like strategic in some ways of like when you're ministering, like having to consider all those other elements. South Bay is slightly similar, just maybe not as compact, but like just, I know they've done outreach stuff too. And it's kind of the same vibe, like just trying to like help build connections through those outreach focuses. But yeah, like I think there's just like this wanting to be more present, like, parks, knowing what's going on in the communities over there and just finding ways to step into some of that as a church. But also like with just some of the relationships we have, like, building off of that as well. Like, it might not be somebody who's in one of our church communities, but still like we're going to connect with them if we have the connection. And also it's just like, well, maybe I know another pastor that I can, introduce you to kind of vibe if we meet somebody. And West LA, I mean, yeah, we have connections over here with the church in West LA, or with the neighborhood in West LA where Cornerstone's at, you know, also in the Venice communities. I know some people in those areas, but like, yeah, it's just really whoever we can meet and trying to connect them to church somehow.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I want to ask just practically, you know, a connection point for people. But before we get there, maybe just take a quick step back for those that aren't as familiar with Shalom. For maybe they're new to Cornerstone and maybe they've heard all this and they're kind of wondering, okay, like why gang ministry? Like why should the church be engaged with those that are impacted by gang culture? Why is this a focus for you? I know this is a big question, but like, why should the church be actively engaged in this?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's personal attachment for me. Mm-hmm. Like I've had loved ones, family that's been involved in this lifestyle. So it's like, for me, it stems somewhat from that and God molding my heart from those things. But I think, you know, when you see, I think I always go back to like Jesus's ministry and just kind of like looking at him going to so many people in society that like everybody says, no, you don't interact with that person. You don't interact with that person. Like, they're not worthy in a sense to, have some of the society's privileges that the rest of us, you know, should be treated with in a sense. And I think when I look at Jesus doing that, he just goes to those that a lot of people don't want to go to. I think that's always a motivating thought and factor in all of it is just, I think in our society, like the gang culture is frowned upon and not, you know, a lot of people don't see it as individuals who are worthy of participating in society, if you want to say. But just the reality that like the gospel changes all of our lives. Like a gang member is not too far removed, just like the person up in the hills, the rich hills is not too far removed. Like, you know, the same gospel changes all of us. And I think that's just when I look at Jesus' life and he's just going to these people on the outskirts of society. It's like, yeah, like I feel like gang members or that culture is sometimes by society placed on those outskirts. And it's just like, the gospel changes that. And I don't want to like single them out in a context of like they're unique or special per se, but like it's just the gospel changes and we have this call to, they're our neighbors, you know, LA is the gang capital of the world. They're our neighbors. So it's like, yeah. So.
That's what it looks like to love our neighbors as ourselves, man.
Yeah, love our city.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
So.
Oh, okay. So for people that maybe haven't gotten connected into Prodigal yet, or maybe for those that have gotten connected or been around, have heard about it, have been thankful for it over the years, for people that share that heart for our neighbors, to be involved in every aspect of our city, and particularly in this aspect, how can people be involved? Like, what are ways that people can serve alongside you and be involved in doing the work of reaching out to our gang impacted communities?
Yeah. Probably one of the easier ways, but it's a lot of it is always like scheduling, coordinating with families that we're ministering to, and obviously coordinating with church individuals. But I think helping out with like if they want to come on a food box run or delivering stuff, that's one way people have stepped in and engaged and been able to meet people. Like, you know, people will come along and I remember, I think there's been a couple of times where like the drop off can be like 45 minutes long because we're just talking with, and someone's sharing their life with us. So like, it's just an opportunity those ways very easily to come in, meet individuals. Some of it's a little like sensitive on depending on the relationship that I have with the family, but like normally like that's an easy way. It is difficult because I know like I'm working off of a family's time frame. And so some like maybe someone works during the week and it's just harder for them to step in to join me. But like I think I also try to take that into consideration when I'm planning some of these program kind of things. I would say also, you know, like every once in a while I'll do like seminars or like equipping. If you just want to learn more about some of the cultural aspects or what it means to have a heart biblically, like things like that to help shape. Because I think we just want to jump in and do something sometimes, but like actually kind of like learn what it means to be, in this context, all things to all men kind of vibe in a sense, you know? So
to engage well, not just to engage, but like to do that well.
Yeah, I think things like that. And then, just I usually try to keep the church in the know if someone passes away and like, oh, do you want to go pray at a vigil, or do you want to, there's a car wash that's going to be like things like that, you know? So it's, I would say it's not like a daily rhythm, but like just some of those are the opportunities where people could step in and like and learn some of that.
Awesome. Well, if somebody's listening and they want to get more involved, they want to know how they can help you, how they can even get just connected and be praying for you, what's the easiest way to get a hold of you?
Probably maybe by email. You can have like 4 emails. I guess there's like, just Daniel at prodigalsonsinc.org, prodigalsonsinc.org. Daniel at prodigalsonsinc.org.
Okay. Awesome.
So,
awesome.
Yeah.
And you're around.
And I'm around. Yeah.
You're around. I mean, not on Sundays. You got your responsibilities.
Yeah.
So thankful for the work you're doing, man. Anything else you want to do before we leave?
Yeah, I would just encourage church listeners out there, like, you know, we go to church on Sundays and we have our community and our lives, and there's a lot going on for us for sure. But I think from the experiences that I have, whether it's prodigal or just being outwardly focused with the community and with neighbors, there's even at Shalom, when it's not even like gang members that we're ministering to, it's like the homeless or just like families at the park. Like there's so many people on the outside of the walls of the church that are hurting and that are going through so much. We've had people visit our church and we find out there's like craziness going on in their lives. And it's just off of one visit. And it's just like, like just understanding that like people are hurting on the outside of the walls of the church, and we have a Savior and a gospel that we can point them to. And just, that's our call, like as believers. Like it's not an option to be missional. And it just like really like having that focus of outward. That's my
awesome, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, thanks so much. And we'll leave it there, because I think that's something we can all walk away from, considering the reality that being missional isn't like for certain kinds of Christians, right? It's not an option. It's a part of having that heart for the city around us, for the people around us, what you're leading us in, what you have led us in and shaped our church in it's just a part of discipleship. It's part of being a Christian. So thanks so much, man. Thanks for the impact you continue to have on the church, for your faithfulness and for your friendship, man.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you.
All right. And thank you all for listening. We love you, and we'll see you on Sunday.